Welcome back everyone to the Money Control live stream. You're watching markets with Santo and CJ, and as again there's no Santo, but let's look at the market, guys. I mean, if you look at the entire session, it's been a bit of a choppy session. It's been iffy because we started off the day on a very strong foot, higher by about 0.8% to 1%. But in the past few minutes, we have given off a lot of those gains, and now currently we are in the negative territory. Although compared to markets in Europe and maybe some of the other Asian, stock markets, we are still relatively quite strong. We are still very resilient at this point of time. So that is something that bulls will take away from this session. But overall, in general, we have failed to hold on to that 17,700 mark, and that is something that might trigger a bit of a profit booking going ahead if we do close below that level. Apart from that, of course, the boring news is that mid and small cap stocks are still outperforming the large cap, peers. The Nifty small cap and the Nifty mid cap 100 has been able to hold on to, both have been able to hold on to their gains from the morning. But in the large cap space, clearly some of the big winners are surprisingly Bharti Airtel. If you look at HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, these were the stocks that were the leaders of the pack as far as the Nifty 50 is concerned. So some good news, especially for a stock like Bharti Airtel, which had fallen off investors' radar recently. But overall, it looks like we are in for a very choppy end to today's session. Let's quickly move on to some of the stocks that were buzzing in trade today. And the first one that came up on my radar is Coal India. The stock was doing relatively well, largely, of course, there is a lot of optimism as far as Coal India is concerned in terms of its earnings growth going ahead. Recently, the stock had seen a lot of correction, especially after its Q1 earnings. The initial rally then got sold into, and there was a lot of profit booking. But there is now evidence that at least some bit of bottom fishing is happening again. If you look at what brokerage from Prabhudas Leeladhar had to say, they are looking at almost a 10% upside in the stock over the next 2 to 3 weeks because of the technical support that the stock has taken around current levels. They believe that this could trigger another sort of an up move on the stock going ahead. Overall, of course, from a long-term perspective, if you look at a 12-month horizon, the stock is looking quite decent because earnings growth is very much back for the company. The continued shortages that we are seeing as far as coal supply is concerned, that is expected to continue to boost the e-auction premiums or the secondary market sales that the company makes. So overall, the earnings picture looks quite strong, and technically also the stock is taking good support. So there is a possibility that this gains that we have seen today in the session might continue in the coming days as well. The next stock, of course, is from the defense space, and this is the stock that we talked about earlier as well. But defense story, as I said in the morning as well, has been quite strong so far. But this one stock actually has gone under the radar. While Bharat Electronics, Hindustan Aeronautics, and even Bharat Dynamics have been catching the headline, Roselle India, which is from the defense and aerospace sector, has gained almost 115% so far this year on the optimism that the company's ambitions in the defense segment could actually pay rich dividends going ahead. Overall, they have stated after the June quarters, if you go back to the earnings call that the company had done during the June quarter earnings, they have stated that they are looking at the defense space as the next growth lever for the company. Now, India itself is looking inwards as far as its defense requirements are concerned. The government is trying to indigenize the defense procurement process as much as possible. In the last 2 and 3 years, we have already seen that equipments or a lot of the defense products that have been acquired by the army or by the air force, a large part of it is now coming from in-house. Apart from that, if you look at the aerospace business of the company, there also the arm of the company had recently got into a contract manufacturing agreement with Boeing. So that is something that could also trigger good growth in the aerospace segment of the company. So aerospace and defense both are looking quite strong. So earnings visibility is there. And this is also what the opinion is of a lot of HNIs or high net worth individuals out there, because that is what dealers are telling us, that a lot of HNIs have been recently accumulating, and probably that explains why the stock has risen almost 115% this year so far. So one stock to probably keep on your watch list going ahead. Today itself, the stock is higher by almost 15%, as you can see on your screen. So clearly, the momentum is right now in favor of Roselle India. The third stock on my radar today is Bharti Airtel. I mentioned earlier that Bharti Airtel was among the leaders of the pack in Nifty, and very interesting move in Bharti, given the fact that the stock has more or less remained dormant in the past few months, even as the market was rallying. Now, what could be the trigger here? Well, it seems to me that probably there's a little bit of an appreciation in the market with respect to the growth opportunities that are coming up now in the telecom sector. The 5G spectrum auction has concluded. Companies like RIL have already given a timeline as to when they intend to launch their 5G network. Bharti Airtel also is clearly working towards that, and it will be no surprise that we come to know as to when Bharti is going to launch its 5G network. Bharti feels they have an advantage as far as 5G is concerned because they are utilizing 5G on top of their 4G network. So therefore, for them, the cost as far as spectrum is concerned is going to be quite low, and they will not have to add to their debt. On the other hand, its rival RIL is trying to launch a true 5G network, which it feels would be the most advanced 5G network across the world. So clearly, the growth opportunities are there. If you look at recently some of the brokerages have come out with an initiation report on Bharti Airtel, and they feel that Bharti Airtel, along with of course RIL, could be a very good play as far as the emerging growth opportunities are concerned in the digital economy of India. Telecom sector, of course, would be the bedrock on which the government is trying to build the digital India story, and clearly Bharti Airtel is expected to be a big beneficiary as far as digital India is concerned. Going ahead, analysts are expecting almost a 17% annualized growth as far as the wireless revenues of telecom sector is concerned. So that in itself indicates to you or shows to you how the growth prospects that lie ahead for a company like Bharti Airtel. And lastly, Prabhudas Leeladhar, which has also initiated coverage of a stock with a buy rating yesterday, they believe that the stock has as much as 36% upside in the coming 12 months alone. So clearly, there is one stock that you guys ought to watch out for. It's making small moves. Today in the session, the stock is higher by about 3%, but it will be interesting to see if we can go past that 800 level mark and maybe make new record highs on the stock that we had seen last year. The last stock on my radar today is from the financial services or the non-deposit taking financial services segment, and this is CDSL, Central Depository Services Limited. Now, the news came out today, CNBC TV18 reported that the insurance regulator is looking to dematerialize insurance policy. Now, we know that insurance policy are clearly already available in digital format, but what the regulator is trying to do is that is enable you to have an option to hold your insurance policy in your demat accounts. Right now, you're already holding your stocks in your demat accounts with your broker, but maybe sooner in the future you will also have the option to hold your insurance policies as well in a demat account. Now that in itself will expand the the user base or the demat account holder base as far as the country is concerned, because clearly at this point of time there are more people who hold insurance policy in India than there are those who hold a demat account. So this is expected to be a very good growth lever as far as CDSL is concerned, and that is what the market is also looking at and the market is also reading into it. Apart from that, of course, the good news also is that for the first time in this country, there are now 100 million demat account holders as far as India is concerned, and that goes to show, I mean, prior to the pandemic, there were barely like 40 million demat account holders in the country, and within just 2 years, we have seen almost twice the growth as far as demat accounts are concerned. So the opportunity, of course, is very strong. As far as India is concerned, the penetration level for demat accounts is still very low compared to a China or a US, and I think that is what the market is also looking at. After the recent correction in the stock, the valuations have also become quite reasonable. That said, let's quickly take an update on how the market is setting up for the last 20 minutes of trade. And clearly at this point of time, we are flip-flopping a little bit between gains and losses. The Nifty is dead flat, higher by just 5 points. Sensex similarly higher by about 9 points, 10 points. So clearly a very flat market. It's the Nifty Bank that is really dragging the market at this point of time. The Nifty Bank index is lower by about 0.3 to 0.5%. Nifty Auto is down about 0.2, and the index that is, or the sectoral index that are actually holding the market higher is Nifty Metal. The Nifty Metal index is surprisingly higher by about 1%. Probably not a surprise given that there is a lot of murmur and chatter coming out of China of another stimulus program there. So clearly the metal investors or the commodity investors are clearly looking at that and thinking that maybe this could be good as far as Indian metal commodity producers are concerned. Overall, if you look at the VIX, which can give you an indicator in terms of where the market positioning is, the VIX index is down about 1%. So clearly, even bears at this point of time are not venturing to go whole hog and short this market. They're holding their cards closer to their chest, and that reflects in the weakness in the volatility index. Overall, I think let's now focus on what you ought to look out for, for tomorrow's session. And clearly, the first thing, of course, will be the opening of the US market. Yesterday, the US market was shut for trading on account of Labor Day. So a lot of cues will be emerging from how the US market opens today. There is not much in terms of economic data tomorrow. Towards our opening bell, you will have China releasing their balance of trade data, their export and import data, and that could possibly be a little crucial in terms of getting a sense of how the export side of China's economy is doing, because that could be a good indicator as far as the revival of the Chinese economy is concerned after the lockdown that we have seen with respect to COVID. So those will be the two things to really look out for. Apart from that, hopefully, if we do close above the 17,700 mark, then probably you could see some bit of long addition coming into the market tomorrow. But if we do fail to do that, and tomorrow also we get a negative opening, then maybe a lot of technical analysts will feel that this market could be ripe for some bit of short positions going ahead. With that, it's a wrap. I hope you like the show. If you have any feedback, anything that you want us to improve on, comment in the comment section below. And apart from that, keep following us on the social media links that you just saw on the bottom of your screen. And I don't need to say it, guys. You have to be at moneycontrol.com or download the Money Control app for rest of your financial news. I'll catch you again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp. Till then, have a great day.